Good morning. You're listening to Java with Jimmy.
Good morning, everybody. If you just left us at the 9 o'clock hour, we had a very, very interesting discussion with Dr. So I had to interrupt him, and we're coming back with, we're doing candidate check-in this morning with attorney Tanisha Sullivan. I know she already told me she had a meeting from 9 to 10, so she's probably going to be a couple of minutes late. But if you were with us in the 9 o'clock hour, just let me know your thoughts about the discussion with Dr. Simon. It was definitely informing. I loved how he just broke things down to sort of a layman's term and really validated a lot of the experiences of Black and brown men in this country and how that has an impact on our mental health. And then also talking about the importance of therapy. And so we were glad to have Dr. Simon with us this morning. He committed to coming back. And so we'll figure out a way to get him back. But we're going to give Tanisha just a few minutes to get ready to come in. Greetings again, Dow Drumright from Tennessee. Stan, good morning. Okay, so Stan, you got you big time. You got 2 pages, brother. But we're gonna let me check with Tanisha to make sure she's all good. And again, just how I went up right until 10 o'clock. I know Tanisha may be carrying over on hers. Oh my goodness, can I be honest with you? I'm tired. Those type of conversations just pull a lot out of you. Then I got a meeting at 10:30. Then I think I got a meeting at 11. Lord Jesus. Yep. I got a meeting at 10:30 and then a meeting at 11:30. Okay, so I get a little break. But again, we're trying to just wait a couple of seconds and have Tanisha come into the room. If you're just tuning in and missed the announcements this morning, keep in mind I'm going to have the mayor with us tomorrow at 9 a.m. And then also on Thursday morning at 8:20 a.m., I will be on GBH. I'll be on their morning show at 8:20 to talk about the Orange Line shutdown. Then at 9 a.m. on Thursday, we're about 95% that we will have both groups in reference to Carnival coming up this weekend. Y'all, I'm really tired. I'm tired. Those type of conversations really take a lot of out of you. And so it is just, I'm trying to keep it together, but yeah. So if you hear me stuttering here and there, you know why. Stan, attorney Tanisha Sullivan. Yep. Kathy, last speaker's comments on discrimination in preschool were jarring. I mean, it's real. It's unfortunately real. And he talks about the fact, Domingo put up a post that we're labeled at birth. To some extent, yes, and to some extent, no. He talked about that first, infancy period to where it's and you know what? I forgot to share this. I got so much going on. Hold on. I forgot to share this on the regular Facebook page for those that don't follow Java with Jimmy so they can hear Attorney Sullivan. But he talked about the fact that when we're born, we come out, everybody's cute, curly hair. Oh, look at the baby. Then you hit preschool. You might have one little interaction and then you get labeled. You know what I mean? So he definitely did keep it real. Let me just get this shared here. Do me a favor. You all hit that share button too. Because this is an off hour. I haven't done an impromptu Java with Jimmy in some months. But let me just get this shared here. And then I think we're all set over on Twitter as well. I usually do this when I do the little opening, but I didn't do it on the 10 a.m. hour. So let me just check my text and make sure Tanisha is good. All right. Maybe she's just running over. I tell you one thing, if she is running over and can't pop in, I ain't staying on here just to stay on. I'm tired. That brother, Dr. Simon, as the young people say, spit a lot of knowledge this morning. And so I really enjoyed him. He again, I'm just sitting here like, oh my God. And to Quincy that was in, to his point, that would have been an awesome face-to-face Java with Jimmy. Where I just need space, y'all. I wish I had my own space that could hold like 30, 35, 50 people. We just do live recordings and throw them up and like have a little middle aisle, come down with the cordless mic, the little applause thing comes up, have a guest DJ's a personality and do my little Ellen dance. It's coming. It's coming. All right, now we just got to see if I'll put y'all on hold or video or something up and call and just see. Again, when you're a candidate like this, things come up at the last minute, and we did sort of put this together at the last minute. But let me just, for those of you that have not seen it, let me just share this with you again. And if you have seen it, I'm sure you just enjoy it. But check out this video from Tanisha in one of her debates with Secretary Galvin.
I have to go back to a few comments that the secretary has made.
Misunderstandings, actual experience. It just shows my opponent's ignorance of the office.
I want to make it clear, I am not ignorant and I am not misinformed. I am highly credentialed. A BA, a JD, MBA, I am highly experienced. 20 years of legal practice. I am highly experienced, a civil rights leader who has driven impact in this city, across the Commonwealth, and in this nation. I am more qualified and credentialed today than the day you walked into that office. I am not ignorant and I am not misinformed. What I am is centered in our communities. What I am is centered on the issues that matter most to everyday people. We have to do something to increase voter participation, and sitting behind a desk at 1 Ashburton Place is not going to get us where we need to be.
We'll just leave that right there. And it's so apropos because Attorney Sullivan just texted me and said she was trying to get on. And so we're just going to jump right in because I have until 10:30. And I know her time is probably short as well. But Attorney Sullivan.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a while. It's so good to see you.
I know. We spoke at the beginning. In the beginning. You already know how this goes when we get on, James.
You're not going to start with me today. So it has been a while. But part of that, well, first of all, how are you doing? You've been trotting all over the state, just doing a lot. And this isn't new for you as far as getting messaging out there and whatnot. But how are you, with all due respect, as Tanisha? Because you've been busy.
I know. So thank you. Thank you for having me on this morning. And, this is a statewide office. And so it's a statewide race. And so, we've got 351 cities and towns across Massachusetts, and we've got to touch as many of them as we possibly can. And so I am, there are days when I start here, in Hyde Park, and I am, I'm on the North Shore. I'm out in Western Mass, I'm in Central Mass. We are connecting with voters across Massachusetts, helping people to understand this office, its importance, and helping people to understand the vision that I have for this work. So many of us in community have been trying to increase voter participation, and it's like it feels like we just keep bumping up against headwinds. This is the office statewide that is responsible for voting rights and access in our elections. And so, really helping people to understand that, as Secretary of State, what I want to do is help to bring together our community that has been doing the work, so many of us, and now the Office of Secretary of State, this office I call the Chief Democracy Office, to actually help us increase voter participation, help us increase civic engagement so that we can then strengthen our communities and really drive the change that we need to see. So all of that to say, I'm just, we're doing the work. We're doing the work, James, and the reception has been really good across Massachusetts, and just people feel people, again, understanding this office, voting rights. This office is the entry point if you want to do business in Massachusetts. Didn't you form a little something recently?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the Secretary of State's office. If you want to do business in Massachusetts, you've got to register with the Secretary of State. And so my vision for this office is one that is doing more to support our small business community, right? Why is it that here in Massachusetts, if you are Brothers Restaurant, you're treated the exact same way as the Cheesecake Factory? I believe that the Secretary of State's office has an important role to play in helping us to tackle economic inequality and to close the wealth gap by providing more support to our small business community, lowering fees so that, one of my favorite coffee shops is Recreo in West Roxbury. It's a small owner-operated shop. And I love Recreo. It has a powerful social justice mission. But Recreo, as an LLC, pays the same fees as a Dunkin' Donuts LLC. That's not fair.
They should be scaled to some extent.
This makes sense, right? That's not how it is in Massachusetts. Massachusetts is the most expensive state in the country to start a business, and we treat the small business owners the same way we treat the large ones. The Secretary of State can do something about that. The Secretary of State can do something to help small businesses like yours be connected to the Supplier Diversity Office or to other resources in our state government to gain access to the resources you need to be successful. The Secretary of State's office could be doing that. That's the type of work, voting, economic opportunity, access to information. That's the work that I look forward to doing through this office so that we can help strengthen our communities and empower people.
Attorney Sullivan, let me ask you.
Please come.
I know I'm just, I'm going to soon need to be calling you Secretary Sullivan. So, I love you. You're my sister, but with all due respect,
Thank you.
all due respect. In a post George Floyd pandemic period, one would think that the collaboration you alluded to, the sort of Black and brown centered increase of economic mobility, decreasing of fees, understanding we see at the city level, there's an appreciation now for what we call legacy, sort of entities. And so in this period, why have we not seen a more aggressive in-reach or outreach into community? There was so much fire around voting. Let's speed it up to a little bit to where our women now have to be heavily, and we can't take for granted in Massachusetts, shout out to Baker and the little things he did do around that. But, why have we not seen more interaction with the community like this in these two post periods of the pandemic? And when I say post George Floyd, because there was this proverbial window that you were talking about, I think you've helped kind of raise it back up again where we thought it was closing. So why do we have to wait for you to have this experience?
So the Secretary of State's office, again, it's a statewide office. So no matter where people live in Massachusetts, this office is supposed to be serving. Okay. But this office has, by design, been one that is administrative and transactional. It has not been a proactive office. It has not been an office that has had within its vision to be engaged in our communities. And I believe that's a problem.
Absolutely.
Okay. And just to make the point, it doesn't matter if people are registered to vote, if people don't believe and have faith in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We can make it as easy as can be. But if we have people who feel like government doesn't work for them, or who feel like government just happens to them, and therefore decide not to cast a ballot, we're not winning.
At all.
Okay. Because who votes determines who gets elected, and who gets elected, they are making the decisions about the policies and laws that impact our lives. If you care about our public schools, if you care about climate, if you care about housing, if you care about public safety, if you care about jobs, if you care about small businesses, we have to vote in order to put people in office who are then going to serve our communities. And it's communities with an S across the board.
Mhm.
And the Secretary of State has an important role to play in helping to close the gap in voter participation. Now, you know this, James. So many of us have been doing this work on the ground, trying to do this work on the ground for years. But what we hear is people not believing. My vote doesn't matter.
Heard it yesterday.
Okay, my vote does. That speaks to broken relationship and broken trust. We need a Secretary of State who's not only going to fight to break down the administrative, the policies, the policy barriers, but we need a Secretary of State who's going to ensure that this office is working alongside our community-based organizations, representing, being a representation of government to say this can work for all of us, and inspiring, motivating, and encouraging people to vote. We have to do that. We also need a Secretary of State who understands that this office has to be more actively engaged in helping us tackle some of the other very big issues in our communities today. This office, and again, that's economic inequality, is one of them. And I keep lifting it up because this office has a role to play in tackling economic inequality. This office also has a role to play in helping us increase our affordable housing stock. Yes. So the Secretary of State in Massachusetts, responsible for voting in elections, responsible for
fees and yes. Okay, it's yes. Fees for the housing. Sorry, it hit me. Go ahead.
responsible for access to public information, responsible for corporations, even nonprofits have to go through the Secretary of State's office, responsible for our historic archives.
Which is so important now in the attention on a national level, but who knows if we would ever need it. Go ahead. Sorry.
So the Secretary of State, so they'll say it's the archives responsible for the preservation of our history. What I say is this office is responsible for the discovering, the preservation, and the telling of our history. And the Secretary of State chairs the Massachusetts Historical Commission. Well, the Massachusetts Historical Commission has responsibility for allocating financial resources, historic tax credits, financial resources that can be used by local municipalities to preserve historic sites. Okay. But also the allocation of historic tax credits that can be used to help finance the development of affordable housing. Millions of dollars a year are allocated to developers across Massachusetts to support affordable housing development.
Have by any chance you even looked at the breakdown of the demographics of where they
So there are
almost made me troll Jesus. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
there are a few things we need to do here. See, information. This is why the office is so important. Okay. It's more than voting, friends. Okay. Today, that process is very opaque. Today, that process is not transparent. Today, that process is a black box. Okay. Application goes in, the commission deliberates, and a decision at some point in time is made.
If you know to even put the application. So developers are getting, because we love developers. They're getting money from the Secretary of State's office to continue development.
These are historic tax credits. Yes. And so we have, I was speaking with a developer of color who's developing in Mattapan. And he told me 76 units of affordable housing. He told me he had to wait 4 years for his project to be able to benefit from the historic tax credits. Not only the money he lost waiting, but the number of units that were not developed and the families that therefore did not have access to housing.
Oh my God.
So one, I want to bring more transparency to the process. We need to know these are tax credits. So these belong to the people. We need to know the process. The process needs to be transparent. And we need to ensure that the process is fair. Okay. I want to be clear on this point, James, and you know this about me. I want to ensure that as we continue to develop here in Massachusetts and in the greater Boston area, continue to develop. Okay. So
Yep.
we're not saying stop development.
Nope.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we need to ensure that more people, more developers know about the historic tax credit process.
Outside of the good old boys club, but go ahead.
And that more people have access to these tax credits. The other thing, now watch me on this, James, because this is what happens when you have a corporate lawyer. She got 20 years in. Okay.
Yeah, we saw the video. We saw the video, but go ahead. We're going to talk about that.
Okay. And a civil rights leader who has an equity lens, who has a justice lens, who's looking for opportunities, okay, to help improve quality of life for all people. What would it look like if we were to take this process and layer on top of it a priority review for projects that, I'm going to go here first, that commit to sustainable development to contribute to the fight against our climate crisis? What would it look like?
So the Secretary of State's office can have influence on climate change. You about to make me cuss.
Stay with me. What would it look like if we were to take this process, James, and layer on top of it the Massport model and say, okay, real estate developers, thank you for your service. We're going to give a priority review to those projects that have diverse development teams. Women, people of color, veterans. What would that look like?
What would it look like?
We can
different from what it is now, but go ahead.
We can take what has historically been a behind the veil process. We can put it into the light, transparency. We can support development so we can continue to grow. And we can address some of the most pressing social issues: housing, climate, diversity in the construction industry. We can do all of that when you have a lens that is not only focused on the legal pieces, but is also focused on the fairness and the opportunity pieces for all people. Historic tax credits. So we're talking about millions of dollars, $50-60 million a year. There's been over $500 million allocated since the inception of the program. $500 million in tax credits allocated since the inception of the program.
Attorney Sullivan, I got a 10:30. We put this together. I know you're busy. With all of that, I would be remiss if I did not ask you
Yes.
about the 7 on my feed alone. You're at 7,100 hits for the video from the debate with Secretary Galvin. Post that, like I know I've watched that thing at least 25 times. What was the response to the video? Because if you know you, the eyebrows, the body language, everything, like it just give us a little commentary about that debate and just because a lot of people viewed it as being just the two number one things I got from the response was he's disrespectful and you killed it. What you said was fire. Response to the video.
Yeah. So, I was on with someone earlier today. I think that we can think of in recent history, there've only been, so first of all, this is the first time that we've got women of color in statewide races like this. So I'm running for Secretary of State. Andrea is running for AG. And so the whole ecosystem is getting used to having women of color.
Wait, because again, knowing you, that statement within itself just is so much. But go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. But even on a larger scale, I mean, we've got Ed Brooke, Augie Grace, Ed Brooke, Attorney General, Augie Grace ran for Secretary of State, and Deval Patrick, right? And so the ecosystem is not used to the political space. Is we don't readily see people like us show up, and so I think, what was leading up to that, to my response was I have an opponent who's never, had to interact with a woman of color on that type of stage before. And so he, was consistently, and, this was certain, he made the comment multiple times, was referring to me as being ignorant and misinformed.
That's obvious, not the case, but go ahead.
Thank you. And so when you're in an environment like that, just for folks to know, you don't respond to everything. I mean, it's a debate, right? It's like some things you just let go. But by the third time, I realized that I had to say something. Yep. If not for myself, but for the thousands of people who were listening and watching. And, I can't tell you the number of parents who've reached out to me in response to that video saying that their children had been listening, as they had it on in the background. We have to, as more of us start running, people will become more accustomed to us being there and their language will change, hopefully. But understanding what it means to be a woman of color, and to have those words used, toward you, toward me, I had to respond, so that we could stop it. Because these are the things that are said about people of color and about women. These are the labels that are put on us all too often, and they're not accurate. And so I did make the decision to respond to it. And as it turns out, it has gone viral across the country. But here's the thing. This is what I want folks to take away from this. One, this is a statewide race, running for Secretary of State. The election, the primary is on September 6th. September 6th is the primary, the last day that folks can vote. Otherwise, people can vote by mail. They can early vote starting in person, starting this coming Saturday, August 27th through September 2nd. September 6th is the last day. And it's really important that we do turn out the vote in this election cycle. it is critically important that this office especially, is one that we are paying attention to, and that it is one that is being called to greater account, being called to do more. We have to increase voter participation. We have to increase the transparency in our government, how we access information. And we also have to work hard to tackle economic inequality, critically important. And this office can do that today with the power that exists in that office today. I am asking for your vote. I'm asking for your vote. If you would like to reach out to me, you can email me at tanisha@tanishasullivan.com. If you have questions, please reach out. I'm asking for your vote. I'm also asking for the vote of everyone in your household, everybody on your street.
Hold on. And let's just keep this 100 because Stan asked the question. So I'm going to ask you all, if you have any friends, former coworkers, family members, people you do business with that live in Central and Western Mass, get on the phone and make sure, one, they're aware of Tanisha, and two, make sure they go out and vote on September 6th. And so this is not just the Boston election. This is a statewide election. And so Java fam and others that may be watching this on Twitter or wherever, commit to making at least 10 phone calls Central to Western Mass out where you have connections. Get Tanisha on their radar between now and September 6th. Have 5 points of contact with them and get them out to vote on September 6th. Sorry, you had me put my former campaign experience hat on.
No, I appreciate that. You can also visit my website, tanishasullivan.com, for more information. I have a full platform, vision outline plan for getting it done. On my website, tanishasullivan.com, under issues, we're talking about economic opportunity. We're talking about voting rights. We're talking about information. And oh, by the way, James,
yes,
we're talking about the role that this office can play in helping to protect reproductive freedom and abortion access. Why? Because this office can have a role. This office needs to be more proactive in that fight. And as Secretary of State, I'm going to make sure that we do.
Listen, Brother Stan wants to get with you and ride out and canvas. And so Stan, send that email. The campaign will get you hooked up. Tanisha, you know, the little personal here, but I'm so proud of you. And I appreciate, the times you've come in, and this is not new. I'm glad that because there was some rumors a couple of years ago you was going to run for mayor and whatnot. We talked about that, and then when it was articulated that this was going to be the space, do you remember?
I do.
I was like, wait,
I know.
yes. And so we need this. We need this, folks. So y'all really make those 10 phone calls, commit to making 5 contacts with those 10 people. Sharon said also not just Central and Western Mass, but Brookline, wherever you have connections outside Boston too, but we can pretty much. I know.
James, let me say this really. I am, and right now I'm speaking to my Boston family. I need you. I'm not taking Boston for granted. I am all over the place. But that's why oftentimes many nights we're operating on like a 20-hour cycle right now. But I need Boston. I need my family in Boston, to show up and show out, and vote. I'm not taking that for granted. I have challenged, just need to make it plain. I've challenged a 27-year incumbent. Okay. I've challenged a 27-year incumbent who believes that everything is okay, that nothing needs to change. And I've challenged the 27-year incumbent because I know that there's a lot that needs to change. That there are far too many people who are not connected in, and as a result, our communities are suffering. This office is critically important to the overall ecosystem, to all of our communities. It doesn't matter where you live, whether you're in Fall River or Boston, Springfield or Wellesley or Andover. This office matters, and I want to do the whole job. You heard me talk about many aspects of this. I want to do the whole job. And I want to do the whole job because we need all of it so that all of us can experience a more improved quality of life.
All means all.
All means all. Yes. Yes, sir.
Tanisha, again, love and appreciate you. Folks are on today. I'm with you, brother. I did not know. And when to hear it articulated, I get the correlation, climate change and things like that. But some of that other stuff around historical tax credits and all of that, and black and brown developers not being able to get access and waiting 4 years. And you get off of here because I'm about to cuss. Attorney Sullivan, go ahead, finish, ma'am.
No, so again, I thank you, James, for having me on this morning. This is a continuation of the work. We have been able to take on some big challenges here in Boston and make a difference. We've been able to, I've shared with people, Student Opportunity Act, increasing funding for our public schools. We were able to deliver on $191 million in grants for small businesses. We've been able to advance policing reform. I've been able to, advance
OPAT,
Office of Policing Accountability and Transparency, bringing back an elected school committee. That's the work that I've done. That's the work I've done in our community here in Boston. And hear me on this. That's the work I've done as a volunteer president for the.
Let me just kill a devil. Bishop Ragg used to say, "You're not that you did it alone," because someone will hear a clip and try to the work you've been involved with, and in many cases led.
Yep.
Into leadership, and so let me,
But here's the thing. What I've learned on this trail is that that's something that we do. Can I just make that plain? And in that. I need people to understand that I have done this work, and I've done it because I care about our communities.
Yep.
And I've done it not to get a paycheck because I've been a volunteer doing this work, because I have a heart for our communities and for our people. And so in taking on this challenge for this particular seat, I continue to have a heart for the people and for our communities, and continue to believe that we can all experience freedom and justice and have a quality of life that allows us to pursue all of our hopes and dreams. That's what this office can help to manifest. And so that's why I'm running, to be of service, to continue to serve.
My God, today, continued.
Okay. Thank you, James.
I can't stand you.
Amen. But you know how we do. We about to break out a praise song in here.
Lord Jesus, are you putting out a Christmas album this year again?
We should.
No, you. No. We can have the Gospel Fest choir back you up. I can see you in a black sequins, pantsuit.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me take a minute. Here we go, James. When we win.
Uh-huh.
I need us to vote on September 6th, everybody. When we win. Hey,
can we just say one thing about September 6th?
Yes.
For folks that think that September 6th is not important in this race, am I correct that this is the final?
No. So September 6th is an important date for many of the races because, yes, there will be a general election in November, but the decision about who gets to November will be made in September. If you wait until November, the decision has already been made.
Yep.
This September will decide who your Secretary of State's going to be. It's going to decide who your state senator is going to be if you're in the 2nd Suffolk. Okay. It will decide who your district attorney is going to be if you're in Suffolk County. September 6th is the
It's
decision
huge.
day. And even though, yes, there will be a general election in November, either there's no Republican or independent running, then what
It's
you have
decided.
is September 6th is the date of determination. But what I was going to say is, James, when we win, I would love to have, and we will have as part of our celebration a good gospel concert.
Listen. I'll. When you win, I will be a part of putting that together, and we'll figure out how to switch from the Mayor's Gospel Fest choir to the Secretary of State's inaugural choir.
It will be a praise party. Come on, come through, because this is nothing but God.
And we'll leave that there.
Amen.
I'm 12 minutes late for a meeting, but I was texting them and telling them I was with you, and they was like, okay, fine. And so Attorney Sullivan, thank you so much. Secretary Sullivan, we look for now on September 7th, 9 a.m. Can you put me in your books? Outside of all this legacy media, community hood media, 9 a.m. Can you put me in your books?
Not with you right now.
I'm just saying, because there shall be victory in this thing. Thank you, Chiron, for this information.
I am looking to hold on one second. I'm looking. You see me looking in my phone. So let's talk about that. 9 a.m. Listen, come September 7th, I'll be like, and assist again.
No, you can't get a break until like that Monday after. You got to go do your tour. Good. Yep. So, but no, definitely.
So we'll talk that morning.
Okay. All right.
Talk that morning, James.
We will definitely step in.
I cannot say 9 a.m.
We'll figure it out.
Will talk that morning.
Okay.
We might have to, we will make it work.
And Stan, here's the contact info here. Tanisha at tanishasullivan.com for email, and then also tanishasullivan.com for the website. But Stan, if you want to sign up for canvassing, send an email there. The team will get back in touch with you, whether Tanisha directly or someone from her team will get back in touch with you. Folks, don't forget September 6th, get folks out to vote all across Massachusetts. Make a phone call to 10 people outside of Boston and in Boston. Well, make 20 phone calls, 10 outside of Boston, 10 in Boston. Contact them 5 additional times to get them to vote for September 6th. This is the math. This is how we do it. Yes, ma'am.
So what I was going to say, the last day to register to vote in Massachusetts for the primary is this Saturday, August 27th. So
you have up, and that was through advocacy of some folks and mail. Because remember when you came on before and we were talking about they wasn't going to keep mailing ballots?
Yes. So we fought for, and we were able to, we now have vote by mail. So you can vote by mail permanently.
Yep.
We still don't have same day registration, unfortunately, but we'll continue to fight for that. Okay. But the registration deadline is August 27th. And so what I'm going to ask, James, and you and I can talk about this offline, we need to make sure folks are registered to vote by August 27th. Check your status. And then to what you're describing, a vote plan. So would love to, talk to you about how we can remind people about this is nonpartisan here, about their vote. How you're going to vote, when you're going to vote. But really making sure that it's by September 6th, everyone has done what they need to do. And if we turn out the vote here in Massachusetts, we will usher in really a new generation of leadership across the board. We will usher in a new way of governing across the board. And we will be able to have a very positive impact on our communities as a whole. I'm very proud to have the endorsement of Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley in this race. And so she and I will be doing some campaigning together as well over the coming week or so. And, just as she challenged a 20+ year incumbent, we're doing it again.
Oh my, the precedence has been set, Jesus.
And, and really believing that the people have the final say. The people have the final say with their vote. And so thank you, James, again.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate, make a plan, because we have something called the Orange Line that is impacting so many people that it's shut down. So make that plan to
Mhm.
vote when you're voting, because that is even more important this year because of what we're dealing with around transportation issues. So, and there's look at Brother Conan.
Yes.
So proud of you, sis. And so Tanisha, again, I'll let you go, and I'll get on this phone call. I was supposed to be on 15 minutes ago. Love you, appreciate you, Godspeed. You all go to the website too and make your donation. I'll just tell you all, this is the only candidate in this round that I've made a donation to. And so it definitely, I am so proud of you. And just Godspeed, protection, wisdom, and strength your way. Please remember to drink your water.
Amen.
All right, hon. Thank you.
I'll
And
talk to you.
we'll
Bye.
see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with Mayor Wu. Thank y'all.
Bye-bye.
All right, that's it for me, everyone. I'm tired. I haven't done two back-to-backs in a long time. And about to get on a phone call. All right, y'all. Peace.